Afternoon. All right, so, obviously going through the tape here this morning with the players and going through this afternoon, kind of some of the corrections, the meetings, definitely some things on tape that we got to get fixed. Like I mentioned yesterday, a lot of it has to do with definitely some fundamental issues that, we'd like to get better. I think there was some things on tape, though, that did get better from a fundamental standpoint that we worked on last week, so that was good. And maybe just a little bit more consistency in all those areas would be better. So I think we've got to just keep the emphasis on the coaching part of that and make sure that that happens through the course of practice, through the course of the week. Certainly, give Chicago credit. They did a great job with some of the different scheme things they did. Some of the players that they had back to their roster, to their lineup that gave us some problems. And, we got to do a better job of handling those and making sure we get them taken care of. And, I think overall, again, the general mood is going to be obviously disappointment from us. I know it's going to be disappointment from the fans. And we're all trying to get better. We're all trying to work hard to make sure that doesn't happen. I think we come into work every single day and every single week. It's not easy in the NFL, and we know that. And that's part of our job is to go out there and try to make sure that we make it better every single day. And that's what we're trying to do. So, the guys are in here grinding. They're working hard, and they've done a good job so far this morning. And we'll grind through the rest of the day. And, obviously we've got another big week in front of us. So there's no time to feel sorry for ourselves. We've got to just keep working and getting better. Okay.
Matt, why has Ezekiel Hansen played so sporadically over the last 2 weeks? I mean, obviously week one you can understand, but I guess why does it seem like he's just a real situational ball player at this point?
Well, I think a lot of it is, us trying to get him back into situations where he feels comfortable too, where he can play and go out and perform, and where he's going to help us. I think we feel like the most dealing with, everything that he's kind of progressed through here to get better, to get out on the field from that standpoint. So we're trying to put him in positions where he can make some plays and put him in a situation where he can perform at a high level. But there's some other players out there in the field that, we're using also in some different situations, and we're kind of just rolling all those guys. But, he certainly has a role right now that, that he's just trying to work through to get better and hopefully get a little bit more as we go through the course of the rest of the season.
Do you see his role expanding by the week, or is this kind of
we kind of expand it by the day, and then we just take it by the week as we go through there. So it's definitely a work in progress.
You guys made one staff change last week. Are you considering any others at this time, and how much could something like that help, just dig you out of the slump that you've been in?
Again, I mean, we talked about last week. It was, it was what it was, but, we're just pushing forward this week now. We're just kind of on schedule, grinding away here.
Not considering any then?
Not doing anything right now, no.
Have you considered taking over a bigger role in the defensive play calling, given some of the struggles with that unit and your experience there?
I think, again, I have a lot of confidence in everybody that's out there with the play calling, whether it's defense, offense, or special teams, and we're working together continually. We're on constant communication, through the course of the game on all three phases. When you get to the game, a lot of the game plan's laid out from that standpoint. The biggest part of it for us is in the game, making adjustments and corrections as we're going through, which, we're getting to. And we got to continue to do that, and in some cases make them a little bit quicker, in some cases just try to make sure they're a little bit better than what they are. But, from that standpoint, I have a lot of confidence in all those guys.
To what extent do you feel like you need to kind of address the situation with your players and keep them together and make sure that you keep the room so that this thing doesn't snowball now that you guys are falling back a little bit?
I address the players, every day. We talk every single day, and I think the team understands, and they know what my demands are, and I know, where they're at, and we're always in constant, great communication. I think, look, in the inside walls of what we do every single day, I think we understand we're working hard to try to get everything the right way. There's not a big discussion about it. There's not a big, confrontation or anything like that. So I don't know where any of that really comes from outside the building. Inside the building, we're just trying to get better. We really are just working really hard to make sure we're doing the right things and trying to find different ways if we have to get those things done. There's a good conversation, I would say, on all sides of the ball and all different facets of it of, hey, maybe there's different ways we can do things. And it's certainly a much more fluid operation, I think, than what maybe is portrayed on the outside of it. It's a lot of real good general feedback and communication on all sides to say, hey, this is maybe going to help us or this is different or whatever. But I think the one thing that's consistent, which is great from a standpoint of all that conversation, is that, the film is the film. So when you turn it on, it's pretty clear cut as far as that's concerned and what we either need to improve on or talk about or address or get better at. So.
Is
Is this roster good enough to compete in this league for a division title, even down the road? I mean, Bob said 9-7 wasn't good enough. That's why he made the coaching change. We are where we are right now. Is this team good enough to be a?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I believe in this team, and we're going to work real hard every single day. So, I mean, I think the guys in that room, I have a great understanding of and what they are and what we're going to do as a team. And, you know, we're not hitting the panic button or anything like that right now. We're just trying to get better. You know, I think that's our biggest thing is just try to get some improvement. So there's a lot of football left to be played, and we're going to fight till the very end of this whole thing. So it's what we do in games. It's what we do every single day. We're here to try to get better. So, you know, we're absolutely just pushing forward.
Hey, Matt,
Yeah, I know you had one. Hang on. Yeah, go ahead. No, you go
yeah,
ahead.
in 5 of the 6 losses, it seems like you haven't prepared your team. I mean, by just looking how they play,
Sure.
is that a fair assessment, and what's the explanation?
I mean, people can assess whatever they want to from that standpoint. I know that, you know, from our standpoint, we are preparing hard every week. You know, we're working real hard to make sure that these guys understand what we need to do to give ourselves a chance to win, and then we got to go out and do it, and we got to coach it and teach it and just go out on the field and do it. I don't think there's a situation at all where we've walked into any game this year where we said, hey, we really don't know what our opponent is or what they're going to do or what their players are or who they are or what they do well and what they do poorly. There's not one game we've walked into saying, hey, we have no idea about this opponent. Trust me on that. We work really hard every single week to get that right.
So what's the issue?
Well, again, obviously, you know, we're not doing well enough on in some of those games to win. You know, so there's multiple issues there that I've talked about as we go through it that come up. It's not the same issue every single week, and that's why it's you know, part of a process where consistency is something that I always kind of preach to make sure that when we do get something corrected or we do work in a certain direction with something that we identify that's not well, that we make sure that we keep it that way. And you know, that's something we just got to do a better job of all the way across the board.
Things that you've tried as a head coach first time to basically galvanize change to make it not seem like the same thing, because the tape from what I think most people are seeing is relatively similar for the last 3 weeks, and we're wondering what you could maybe do to galvanize the guys or kickstart it to make it look different.
Yeah, again, I don't know if there's a galvanize is the right word for it. I mean, I think for us it's execution. I think that'd probably be a better word. So, you know, for us it's going to be just, you know, doing the things that we're supposed to do when we're supposed to do them, doing them the right way, and you know, hopefully we can get out there and perform better. You know, it's not a thing where there's like a big divide or there's anything that's unusual going on. We're just not performing well enough on Sunday right now, and you know, look, it starts with me. Like I always talk about, I got to make sure that we do a better job of getting them ready to go, and you know, and then the players got to go out and execute on the field, and you know, that's really what it is. It's all of us working together. I think that's the biggest thing, and I don't think that any of us are not working in the right direction. We're all trying to work in the right direction. We just got to do a better job of it.
Sam Martin left in an ambulance yesterday. His last punt was a little short, but he stayed in the game, finished out, did the 2 onside kicks for you. Can you provide any clarity on his situation?
I don't really have any updates. I know there's a couple of things out there right now, but you know, he we had to get him checked out from that standpoint and do a couple of things that today they're, you know, just checking with him there. But we'll, you know, take it day by day when we get those results back.
Quarterback Stafford, it seems like he's regressed lately. I mean, is he shell-shocked? I mean, the amount of sacks, I guess who would blame him? But how do you assess the play of 9?
Again, I mean, for us, I mean, I think that's, you know, all of them, everybody, you know, including myself, we all got to do a better job. So I think, you know, from that standpoint, I'm certainly, you know, sure there's things in there that he'd like to have back from a play standpoint. There's things out there that we can do a better job of putting him in a better position to be able to make some plays and keep him upright and do all those things that we can to allow him to be you know, be the player that we know he is. So, you know, I think, again, there's different. It's not always the same thing on every single play. When you have 11 guys out there going against another 11 guys, there's a lot of variables that go into that fact. And if all of it was the same and it was just one thing, then I think we'd be able to fix that. But unfortunately, I think it's a couple different things that have played into some of those situations out there that we got to get fixed.
Matt, do you like that philosophy on using timeouts at the end of the first half? Like, for example, a lot of us thought maybe you should have stopped the clock and made them punt from their end zone. There's been other games where you've held on to timeouts where when the opponent has the ball, maybe stopping the clock would have given you guys a better chance to get the ball back and do something. Is there a philosophy you have on that?
Yeah, absolutely. we try to execute it, to the best of our ability that week. We certainly, general football terms, like you're going to try to conserve timeouts. You're going to try to use them at the end of the half. Certainly the halftime part of it is a different deal based on who has the ball coming out to start the second half, who your opponent is, how successful they are in 2-minute drives. Do you want to, have a situation where they have timeouts left? Can they get the ball back if they stop you? There's a lot of variables that go into that as far as the clock management. How long does each play take? How much time can you burn off the clock? When are you going to get it to the 2-minute warning? Do you have the 2-minute warning? Do you not? All those things go into effect. And we certainly 100% spend a lot of time on that. And really, for the most part, I think, we've done a good job with especially halftime of trying to use the clock to our, advantage in that situation. And, same thing at the end of the games. From that standpoint, we're trying to conserve timeouts when we can, but there's certain situations where you got to take them, and you have to understand that maybe not the best situation for you overall philosophy-wise, but sometimes you got to settle some things down out on the field and just make sure that you have a good play.
Why not make a punt in that situation yesterday?
Which one in particular?
The one Stoney's talking about at the very end there.
Before the half. So again, we had the ball coming out to start the second half, correct? So halftime swing, we had 3 points before the half, and then we came out and we had 7, then we had the 3, so we went up 10, so that's pretty good.